Where it all started with me, I won't go into obviously why I got to that state, but there was a time in my life where I was suicidal, depressed, hated who I was and everything around me. And I was sat on the edge of a cliff and I was looking out at the wildlife and I was thinking, wow, they're so beautiful, and I had such a passion for them. And I thought that, they're so vulnerable and innocent, and people, are, killing them for unnecessary reasons. And I thought, no matter, how I'm feeling inside, I can always be in a position to speak up for the wildlife. So I went home that day trying to look for, a new, philosophy, or I was looking into religions and different creeds, and I was trying to find something to keep me going. And most of my life, I was put on medications from the age of 3 all the way up until I was 16. And then I found meditation, and that literally transformed my entire life, because I turned the focus back inside myself, because it was always on external factors. We're being consumed. I mean, we live in, a consumeristic mania society at the moment, and our focus is out there on all the unnecessary things. So we need to turn the focal point back inside ourselves and really understand our psyche, who we truly are, and be careful of what we are identifying ourselves as, because we are the infinite expression of consciousness, just expressing ourselves in multitude of ways, and we've become lost within this story, and we're hitting ourselves over the head with a hammer. And if that was happening in this society, you'd be put into some maniac asylum. So that's how I found veganism, is because I started meditating, and I had this thought when I was 5 years old, at the dinner table, crying over a turkey, because it was the first time I seen meat in the shape of an animal, and I felt hypocrisy in my heart, and I couldn't believe, I'm saying that I love all these animals, I want to save all these wildlife, yet I'm participating and contributing to an industry that is violating and defiling innocence in its face and just destroying it. And I thought, wow, there's got to be a way I can get by without consuming animals. So, fair enough, I started looking, and there was heaps of information online, and I didn't really question. I was an ignorant person coming up to this point, and I started questioning everything, the society we lived in, our actions, our choices, and everything. And these curtains were drawn back, and I started to experience this reality in a completely different, new perspective. And after 3 weeks of solid meditation, I just felt a shift in energy and a shift in consciousness, and I started to enjoy who I was, enjoy the things around me, although I understood the suffering that was going on. So, to touch on the positivity, how to stay positive, I'd really look into meditation if you haven't done it before, because it's something so simple that we can do, and with enough practice, it's going to help. So that's for the positivity and how I became vegan. So last year my activism kind of exploded a little bit, because I saved a pig from a factory farm. I'm going to show you some footage, not all of it, because it's quite lengthy, but I'll show you some of it. And at the time when I was vegan, I was saving animals anonymously, and we are facing the 6th mass extinction on Earth, and we're just running ourselves off a cliff. So if we don't start expressing ourselves as to the greatest potential we have, we're all going to die, basically. And unfortunately to say, and this is why it's so important to be active and give the best you can get, give the best you can give. So one of the things that constrains us and confines us are these authoritarian structures that we have in society. People are scared, people are impaired and, paralyzed to act because these unjust laws. This is just somebody else's box of ideas that has become a legislation. We need to act upon those, and we need to do it openly, coherently and directly, because when they realize the masses will not, stand by and allow this to happen, those laws will deconstruct, or will expand to pigs, chickens, cows, and fish, as well as dogs. So I'm going to show you the first clip, and I'll tell you obviously what happened after I went on. Thank you. So I shared that originally because I was showing my family, my friends. Sorry, my friend. Yeah, sorry. You know, to share with my family, my friends, and every time I showed them slaughterhouse footage or factory farms, they would turn away, they don't want to look. And that's why I put myself in that position to video myself on there, because I want to grab the attention of my family, my friends, and it exploded past, you know, my family and my peers, and it got into the national press, which was such a catalyst to you know, spread the positive message for veganism. And after this, all my family are vegan, apart from my older brother, which I'm still working on. My grandparents, you know, they've completely stopped eating meat. But the biggest thing that, you know, happened was it got into the media, and it was in every single newspaper. It got onto the BBC News, which was such a positive thing, and their write-ups as well was in a positive format, and the people were, you know, they had a point of contact to speak to about veganism, or, you know, why did it that way. And that's another good reason of doing it openly, is because someone's got a point of contact to speak to you as well, so you can advise them. And I got onto a radio station as well, which, you know, just continued the message. And someone got in touch with me last night from the ITV to share this on one of their new television networks. So it's in ITV in the UK is the biggest, you know, broadcaster network there is, which is, you know, it's still going on, the message from this. So there is obviously vulnerability and, you know, dangers and involved, you know, which I will touch on. So the vulnerability side of it, if you obviously want to get involved, because we need more people doing this sort of things openly and directly, because we should not be ashamed, we should not hide ourselves from doing these sort of things. But the vulnerability side, obviously, if you go on your own, you don't know who you can, you know, come in face to face with. So there could be physical vulnerability if you become lost, or if you have a fall or something. So it's always good to buddy up and plan it out as well, because if you have I think.
We seem to have technical issues for a second. Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Have we got, what's the time? Yeah, we've got, okay, yeah. What was I saying, sorry? Completely hit with amnesia. Oh yeah, vulnerability. So you want to structure this out. You don't want to just go on and all guns blazing. You want to find out, you know, a plan A, a plan B, you know, strategy exits as well, because they're so important. Because you don't want to get caught and, you know, end up yourself in, you know, physical vulnerability as well. And then there's obviously vulnerability with the law as well. I got arrested, and I'm a convict, I'm a thief now, so if you've got any bags or anything lying about, I'd suggest hiding them. But they give me 100 hours community service, which, you know, I was happy to take. I'm happy to be imprisoned for the animals, because, you know, if we don't take such massive action, such, you know, jaw-dropping action, because this was the first open rescue in the UK, and I think people were surprised at that. Then, you know, we need more catalysts like this to push our movement forward. So yeah, you have to really, you know, ask yourself, you know, what sort of position you are in, because I've lost 2 jobs. I worked for a wildlife charity, and then I was an investment broker, and I've lost the 2 jobs completely because it was getting too much media attention, which, you know, I see as a massive positive, because, you know, it was reaching the masses. And this cause, the animals, what's going on is way bigger than who I am as an individual, way bigger. So I don't mind being sanctioned. I don't mind, you know, whatever they can give me, as long as there's good content that's getting out there and changing the minds of people. Because if you reach, you know, 100 people and, you know, you change them vegan, that next just one person, maybe the next activist that goes and changes 20 million lives. So, you know, it's that knock-on effect that you have as well. So, you know, but you really should ask yourself about the vulnerability side of it, and, you know, find somebody else that may be involved in it as well. But it isn't something that we should, you know, be shy of sharing, and I think it is very important. But the main thing I would suggest is animal sanctuaries. So seeing if there is a position within that sanctuary first, because the last thing you want to have is these animals at your home and you've got no place to go, because if the police do come, they're going to take the animals back. And with the secrecy side of it, I'd never mention what sanctuary they are at, because you don't want to bring the sanctuary within the law as well, because that is a completely separate thing. So you need to keep that secret and be mindful and vigilant of what you share and locations and everything online. There is certain platforms like DuckDuckGo, which is end-to-end encryption, and they don't, they can't search the data that you've been looking at really. And there's certain apps like Signal you can use for secrecy. So there is certain parts that you have to look at that you can utilize it, but it's about getting the stories out of these individuals. And by having yourself on the video, we are instinctually a highly social species, and every passion I've found has always come from an individual that's expressed it first, and then I found the passion. So a lot of you may not connect with me, but there will be a lot of other people that will as well, and that's why we need other individuals doing this, because some people that have watched this video may not connect with who I am, but they'll connect with somebody else, especially your family as well, because that suffering and that realization just becomes so much more powerful when you're sat there with the animal itself, because they can experience your emotions as well as the animals. I'm going to show you my new liberation video that I've done as well. I haven't released it yet, so this will be the first time. So it'd be great to get feedback as well from what you guys think, and if there should be anything that I should add really.
Ready?
Yeah, you can.
No, sorry.
Sorry? Is it the...
No, when it got pulled out. Wesley, rile the crowd.
You can share something about it just for a minute? Would you like?
Yeah. I mean, has anyone got any questions about that liberation I did? Because I know when I'm speaking, I'm quite sporadic and I can think about all other possibilities. I'm trying to keep it as coherent as possible, but yeah.
How did you get such a large pig in your car without it screaming the neighbourhood down?
What's that, sorry?
How did you get such a large pig in the car without screaming the neighbourhood?
That's a great question. So when we exited the factory farm, that was the first time he would have seen the outdoors, would have been having all these new smells coming to him. So he was quite, he was confused a little bit, and he didn't know what to do. And because he was so big, there was no way I could carry him all the way to the car anyway. So I sat down with him for 20 minutes and just stroked him. And then he would follow me to certain pits, because there was about 3 fields that I had to cross. And I had to get him from the factory farm to the car, so he ended up just following me and walking with me in the end.
How did you get him in the car?
How do I get him in the car? So we walked around to the side of the door, and I just pushed him in, and he just hopped in. So it wasn't that hard, to be fair.
Ready when you are.
Oh yeah, it's ready? Okay.
All right.
Thank you. So I think, one of the, another main point to mention as well is that obviously we are saving these individuals directly, and it's changing their whole lives. And, these beings need to have their birthright to life. They deserve to have their faces shown and their stories told. But not only do people question their own actions towards the food they're eating, but it also gets people thinking about the legality side of things and how we are living in such a perverted and corrupt system and society that we have to live our way of life between somebody else's dotted lines, because there's a legislation or a law stating that. So it gets people thinking about the legality of their own liberty in their own lives.